as a matter of fact, that the 1,914 released heinous crime convicts should surrender within 15 days. I'm just wondering, I'm not questioning the order of the President. It is positive development. Ang ano ko lang is, what if some of them would attempt to leave the country? Of course, HDO is beyond your authority. Nobody can issue a whole departure order except the courts. But ILBO is within your authority. So I'm just wondering if you have already issued immigration lookout bulletin order.
Good morning, Mr. Senator. We got the list of those PDLs who were convicted of heinous crimes but were prematurely released on account of GCTA this morning, and we have forwarded it to the Bureau of Immigration for appropriate action, more particularly for the issuance. It's actually the Department of Justice which will issue the ILBO, the Immigration Lookout Bulletin Order, and that will be addressed to the Bureau of Immigration. So we will do that immediately this morning, Mr. Senator.
Thank you, sir. What was pointed out, I heard the interview of Director General Aquino, and sabi niya, at least yung BPP, Board of Pardons and Parole, sought their comment whether or not to grant executive clemency in favor of the Chinese drug lords. The BPP and the Bucor are both under the OJ. Siguro, had the BPP coordinated more closely with Bucor, na ang sentiment ng PDEA when their comment was sought, not to release. Siguro hindi, of course, that's a different law, no? Yung GCTA 10592 and the law that covers the Board of Pardons and Parole. But kung merong closer coordination, baka hindi na tayo rin umabot sa, aabot pa rin because of Sanchez, but as far as the Chinese drug lords, baka hindi na rin umabot na na-release pa and na-turn over sa Bureau of Immigration. So maybe looking forward, maybe a closer coordination should occur between those two agencies. Kasi related naman yung kanilang functions. In the meantime, that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Please, Senator Soto, Senate President Soto is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, sir. I'd like to welcome the presence of Senator Pacquiao here. Thank you, Senator Pacquiao. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm not sure what time the Secretary will have to leave, so I thought it best now to ask him to fast-track the meeting of the DILG and the DOJ to take action on the current IRR that is being abused. So we hope that you will do that and not even wait for the committee report of the committee. Now, the hearings will continue. We have to, because we want to uncover the shenanigan and the devilry that is occurring in the National Bilibid prisons. We have received disturbing information concerning many officials and not just a few. Our sources are willing to testify, but there are certain conditions that have to be met. We will know within the day if they would want to come out in an executive session or approach the committee chairman of the Committee on Blue Ribbon and Justice. We are hoping that this will unfold within the day. So we will wait until the information is validated and they are ready to appear. And by the way, I'm sure the Secretary of Justice will be willing to include them in a witness protection program, just in case.
If they qualify
Yes.
with the requirements of the witness protection program, we will cover them.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. One question. Is there a first surrendery or a first batch of surrenderies already after the President's announcement last night? I'm just curious.
I have just been informed a few minutes ago that confidentially, meron that we cannot mention.
Yeah, of course. I just would like to find out kung meron nang gusto mag-avail ng recomputation.
Meron
We don't need to mention the names, but
Yes.
at least meron.
After the President made his statement last night.
That's a good indication. That's a good development. Pwede po malaman kung mga ilan, more or less. 10, 20, 30?
Not more than 10.
Not more than. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Lacson. Just as to follow to Senator Lacson, and with all due respect, I don't know what cogent reason the department has kung bakit hindi nyo sasabihin yung mga pangalan ng mga sumusuko. Sapagkat pag sinabi niyo yung pangalan ng mga sumusuko, in my view, susunod na yung iba. And that's why it's important, and I will request for the moment na you tell us kung sino na ang sumuko, because we have some high-profile prisoners that have made their intentions known to Senator Soto, or at least some information that's still raw, that they are going to surrender. And that is why I would respectfully request the Department of Justice to issue from time to time the people have surrendered, because medyo mabigat yung sinabi ng Pangulo eh. I don't think alive or dead, no? Inuna ko yung alive, hindi yung dead, no? Dapat as much as possible alive. Siyempre kung naglaban, ibang usapan na yon. So, but we do want to make sure that the public is truly assuaged na sumusurrender at ma-account natin every prisoner. Would that be possible, sir?
Of course, that will be possible, Mr. Chair. As to the actual names of these people, well, at least those who have already indicated an intention to turn themselves in voluntarily, we can do so perhaps in private for the moment, because we have to confirm whether in fact the information that we got was true.
Yes, sir. Again, any information that we get to the formal processes of the Senate, as you know, we got information from, to our subpoena, Duces Tecum, information on people who were sending letters to the Bureau of Pardons and Parole, which is part of the culture, as I pointed out. Not as a justification, but sometimes this representation, I'm sure, yung mga senador dito were always under pressure from our constituents na kung pwede tingnan yung records, kung pwedeng matulungan doon sa Bureau of Pardons. We should not be doing that. But certainly, if we get information like this, we have to ask the question. I did not divulge it. It was the Bureau of Pardons and Paroles that divulged it. And I was really testing the credibility. And thank you, Attorney Bayang, for being forthright in announcing kung sino-sino yung mga nagsulat, no? And I think that's good, because the public will repose more confidence in us if we're open. Can you imagine what would happen kung halimbawa some enterprising personality would say, oh, hawak nyo pala yung information, ba't di nyo sinasabi? Di lalong lalaki pa yung skandalo pagka nangyari yan. That is why I want to make sure that we're all open insofar as the prisoners are concerned na bumalik, para sa ganon malalaman natin kung talagang bumabalik na sila, sapagkat marami pa rin natatakot pagka hindi pa nahuhuli yung mga yan. At para, again, hindi ko na sinabi ito, but I think it goes without saying that the PNP structure, all the law enforcement agencies, the DILG, and National Bureau of Investigation, and all Bucor and BJMP should cooperate in making sure that the orders of the President are strictly followed, and that we do not wait for the apple to fall or the mango to fall, that we make stringent measures to try and get them back, because there's already the situation of no less than the Commander-in-Chief or the highest official, as you say, higher authority in the land. Now, we just want to manifest here for the moment. Senator Genon is going to come. I was supposed to be with him. We were both members of the Senate Electoral Tribunal. He asked permission if he could, he didn't ask permission. He just asked, informed me that he would be late. But there are certain things that in our discussions that we share in terms of amending the law. Now let me just go into the process of the law. A minute, suspension.
So yan yung pagsisimula nitong pangalawang pagdinig ng Senate Committee on Justice at ang
DZXL Special Coverage.
Okay, oras na po natin, 10:37 na po ng umaga. Okay, sandali na, paalala lang muna tayo, partner. Sandali lang ho, oras. Alas 10:37.
That time check was brought to you by ACS Manufacturing Corporation, ISO certified world-class quality.
ACS.
Whatever your laundry needs, Pride detergent is all you need.
Hay, ang anak ko, basketball ang bisyo. Pag-uwi, puro pawis at dumi ang damit. Siguradong may bakteriyang nakakapit. Kaya, Mrs., all you need is Pride.
Pride Antibacterial Detergent. May triple action formula. Ang power bula na mabisang panlaban sa bakterya.
Basta panlaban sa bakterya, all you need is Pride. All you need is Pride.
Pride Antibacterial Detergent. Manufactured by ACS Manufacturing Corporation. ISO certified. World-class quality.
ACS.
Marami na ang natulungan ng Santon Plus Herbal Capsule.
Marieta Villanueva, 37. Thank you sa Santon Plus dahil gumanda yung pakiramdam ko at saka hindi na sumasakit yung katawan ko dahil sa UTI. Tinake ko siya ng 2 times a day, good for 1 week at saka maintenance ko hanggang ngayon. At saka hindi na ako uminom ngayon ng antibiotic, yung Santon Plus na lang. Maganda na yung pakiramdam ko at hindi na sumasakit yung gilid ko.
Kayo rin, mag Santon Plus Herbal Capsule na. Mabibili sa mga butika.
Mahalagang paalala, ang Santon Plus Herbal Capsule ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
DZXL Special Coverage.
Quote unquote, tama ba yan? Kaming mga asawa. Ba't ka tumatawa sa Secretary Guevara? Baka meron rin ba kaming mga asawa? What I want to say is this, no? Medyo delikado yung kanyang posisyon doon dahil parang maging co-conspirator siya o kaya accessory, di ba? Because hinahanap na yung si Sanchez, parang tinatago pa niya at nagiging alibi pa siya. And that's why I would have wanted her to return. But anyway, just wanted to point out para kung sakaling mag-extend tayo kung babalik sila, you could properly question her. I didn't do that to embarrass her, but there was a point to it. I just don't want people to think that we are deliberately embarrassing people here. There's always a point to the questioning, especially of this representation. Now, having said that, I just have a few more questions before we go to the Secretary. By the way, you left last night at 2 o'clock. If you ask my staff, that is par for the course here. Practically every day and we come back very early. And I can see them nodding. I just want to ask, since, by the way, I'd like to welcome Senator Go, and thank you for your help. We have been very, very assiduous in trying to make sure that decisions are made in this country. Very important that we have a senator who has the ear of the president. I just want to ask the Bucor, especially at times, Maria, you sign for Mr. Paeldon, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, of course, our position is that you are aware of that. And you must not.
I was given an order, sir, which I submitted the other day. And so
But the only orders you'll take are orders by a lawfully constituted authority, and you're practically usurping the orders that should come from the Bureau of Corrections Director General. Anyway, we'll go to that. I'm not trying to grill you on that, but I just want to make sure that you help us out here. We subpoenaed the document because we thought Mr. Peldon was coming here, and the subpoena was to make sure that we get the document where he recalled the order. I now refer to Secretary Guevara, if he can secure that for us, and also to you. Can you secure the order when he actually revoked the order of release of Mr. Sanchez?
We will try our best to secure a copy of that order. We'll coordinate with the Bureau of Corrections.
You will recall, sir, that he said, I ordered it at 12:30, and by about 1:30 or even half an hour, I think he said, I recalled it immediately. I just want to make sure that in the future, all orders are properly signed, there's documentation, there's a paper trail, and once you start saying that to the committee, we will have to look at the paper trail. You understand that, of course.
Yes, Mr. Chair, except that we also remember that during the testimony of Chief DG Faldon, he mentioned that the order was to revoke was given verbally. We remember that he said...
I'm sorry, I'm glad that you refresh my memory on that, but would that be a policy now in the future? That orders are revoked verbally? And what happened to the original order?
For very important documents or orders like that, of course, it is necessary.
It has to be in writing. You
It
agree?
must be in writing.
Yeah. And if it is not in writing, that is not in order. And therefore, that leaves the people to make certain questions that there is informality and illegality that is going on. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Senator.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, follow-up.
I was the one who asked DG Paildon that question, since he claimed that he officially transmitted the memorandum to release PDL Sanchez. I also asked him, how did you recall it? Was it done officially? And he said he did it verbally. And again, it doesn't make sense because once you transmit something officially, you have to recall it officially.
Correct.
Having said that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to follow up a question that you posed to Maria P. Marquez, Ms. Maria P. Marquez. You signed the memorandum to release PDL or PDL's Asnar, Balansag, and the other one, Panyo, last August 16, correct?
Yes, sir, but I'm not totally aware of the personalities.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But you signed their order of release.
It was a memorandum.
Memorandum to
Yes,
release.
sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Semantics lang yan. Pareho rin ang implication. My question is, was DG Faldon indisposed at that time? Where was he? Was he on official business abroad? Was he on leave?
He was in Sablayan prison, sir.
Oh, hindi ba mahintay na bumalik sa National Bilibid Prisons in Muntinlupa for him to sign? Ganun ba nagmamadali na kailangan na pronto, August 16, kailangan pirmahan yung memorandum? He was just inside in country. He was not even abroad.
Mindoro Occidental, right? Sablayan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sablayan is just how many hours or how many minutes away from Muntinlupa. Bakit minamadali yung pagpirma na kailangan pirmahan kagad on August 16? Hindi ba makahintay ng August 17 yon when he came back from Sablayan?
A staff from the Office of the Director, sir, called my staff and asked me to stay behind because, sir, my office is not part of the routine of the releases. So that was just an additional duty on my part. And then the staff asked me to stay behind, to sign some releases. And I understand there were 44 of them on that particular day without picking up names or being aware of who the persons are. And we don't want to be charged with arbitrary detention.
Arbitrary detention?
Yes.
They're already convicts. Paano magkakaroon ng arbitrary detention? Ang arbitrary detention applies only to reglementary period. Once you arrest a person, you follow the 8, 16, or up to 36 hours. These are convicts. Paano ka ma-charge ng May we hear from the lawyers here, Secretary Guevara? Could they be charged with arbitrary detention if the memorandum to release was not signed on that day?
The rule on arbitrary detention, as you correctly pointed out, pertains to that situation where
Arrest without warrant.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Maybe my understanding about what Madam Marquez was saying is that if these persons were already entitled to be released by virtue of, for example, good conduct time allowance, in effect their sentence had already expired, but they are unduly being delayed from release. Maybe that is the context in which the term arbitrary detention is used. That is only my supposition when the term is used by the people from the Bucor.
And as she said, and as DG Paildon mentioned during the last two hearings, hindi nga release order, sabi lang memorandum lang to trigger the process of release. So I cannot reconcile that with being charged with arbitrary detention. Ms. Marquez?
Sir,
Ang tanong ko, bakit minamadaling on that day kailangan mapirmahan at kailangan ma-process yung actual release?
Sir, my best understanding is that release orders should be acted promptly, and that is my best understanding. I'm not a lawyer. And
Now, you're trying to have the best of both worlds. Pagka tinatanong ka ng release, hindi release. Ngayon naman, kailangan madaliin yung release.
Sir, I'm referring to the release order, the memorandum to release, sir. I'm not trying to mislead you, sir. That is my best understanding.
Sabi ni former Bucor Chief Paildon, yung memorandum is not a release order. Precisely, I was arguing that it was a release order that he signed. Ngayon, sinasabi nyo naman, yung memorandum is actually a release order. Which is which?
Sir, my best understanding is that it is a release order, sir. It's a memorandum to release.
So I go back to my previous question. Bakit kailangan madaliin within that particular day on August 16? Bakit kailangan mapirmahan yung memorandum or release order, whatever is the case?
Sir, I have no malice in mind. I just perform my duty as duty general on that particular day because there's nobody to sign that document.
What was the particular instruction? Sign the documents on that day?
Sir, on...
Specific ba yun na kailangan mapirmahan yan today?
I think the instruction was to the normal delivery of services and those documents which require immediate action, Your Honor.
Immediate action meaning on that particular day, you must sign the 44 memoranda to release. Yun ang urgency.
Yes, sir, and even before that, some people are going to our house to seek my signature.
Pupuntahan pa kayo sa bahay.
Yes, sir, the release orders are...
Para silang demanding masyado.
No, sir, on some particular day, sir, but not on that particular day because it was late afternoon of August 16.
Well, if I will have malice in my mind, isa lang implication nun. Demanding sila, why?
The person bringing the documents is a correctional officer, and I completely have confidence in my colleagues,
Anyway,
sir.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to belabor that point.
Well, again, I will refer to and defer to Secretary Guevara because you're the administrative, you're the head practically of your department and Bucor is under you. Nakakagulat sa mga sinasabi niya, napaka-informal memorandum of release. Release is a release and you are acting accordingly. Is that correct? Ma'am, please use microphone.
Yes, Your Honor.
So sa mga duwid, ang take mo, release order na yun. Hindi mo sinasabi ni DG Paildon na hindi pa release yun, memorandum.
The statement of our Honorable Director.
I'm asking you. You said kanina, you took it as a pan-release order, correct?
I believe, sir. I believe so.
Di ba totoo na alam mo kung ikaw ang in charge, lahat siya, pag nirelease order, papatok na yung process, Di ba totoo, magpapiano na yan, mga yan, prepare na para labas na. Tama ba yan?
I understand, Your Honor.
Ano ba ang process pagka sinabing may release order, papalabasin nyo na, ano gagawin?
There are certain requisites for release, like identifying the person through his fingerprints, and some other documents that the superintendent prepares, offices of the superintendent, sir.
Yung picture ni Mayor Sanchez na naka-civilian clothes, although, alam mo, signature yung shirt eh. Tangerine nga yung shirt. Yung orange ba yung tangerine? Yung prison clothes. Anong kulay yun?
Sir, for the maximum, it is tangerine.
Tangerine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Tangerine, ma'am. You know what that means, no? That song. Tumatawag sa secretary siya, ayan, no? Diba? Mr. Tangerine Man. Alam na siya na Senator Soto yan. May ibig sabihin niya sa drugs, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, kita na naman niya, iba nakakamiseta siya, nakapolo. At, yan ba, palabas na ba siya nung araw na yan?
Sir, I have no direct knowledge on that picture, sir.
But, sino ba yung officer na kasama niya? Naka-dark glasses. Gandang damit. Everything is full of informality. I'm just asking these questions because ayoko pabalik-balik dito because ano nangyayari po, with all due respect, bata pa ho ko, wala nung natutuwa nung araw pa sa patakbo dyan. Maybe because overloaded yung mga Bureau of Corrections officials. Talagang ang dami-daming nakakulong.
Yes, sir.
Pero wala naman kami narinig na please, Congress, ayusin nyo na kami, gumawa na kayo ng bagong kulungan at ilipat nyo na itong mga life imprisonment sa ibang lugar para hindi nagmi-mix with the population, di ba?
Sir, I believe there have been several requests, Your Honor.
Sa totoo lang, ito, nagmi-mix sa population, kaya palabas siya o hindi. When you mix with the population, talagang siga ito. Kung ikaw bagong preso, nakapantalo, nakasapatos na leather, may kasamang security. Ano sa palagay mo ang dating doon sa ibang preso?
Sir, what the Bucor provides, sir, are T-shirts.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, ano sa palagay nyo? Because you're in charge of reformatory.
Reformation, sir.
Directorate for Reformation.
Yes, sir. I've been there for about 2 months
Oh, how can you have reformation kung not everybody is equal? Pag pumasok yung preso, halimbawa pumasok si Mr. Echeverry sa kulungan, hindi dahil may kaso, para mag-imbestiga, o ako pumunta dyan, yung impression ko, bakit yung iba hindi naka-uniforme, yung iba merong musical instruments, yung iba naka-cellphone, yung iba yung bosyo o bossing, makikita mo, di ba?
Sir, I understand, sir, cellphone is a #1 contraband, sir.
Pero everybody has cellphones. Number one contraband yan.
Yes, sir.
Yan ang number one na kailangan meron ka. At para magkaroon ka niyan, ano ba ang kuro-kuro mo doon?
Sir,
Nagbibigay ba yung mga tao yan dahil sila may cellphone?
sir, we have...
Ask the question.
I don't believe, sir.
You don't believe?
Because, sir, there is a second layer of security that is the PNP staff. And the Bucor has been very...
Nakakita ka naman na may cellphone dyan?
Sir, to be honest, I cannot enter the
Please do
maximum
not
security.
lie.
I cannot enter, sir, the maximum security unless I am on duty. But
But when you're on duty, nakakita ka man naman sa cellphone. Ako pumasok ako dyan mismo. Ilang beses? 2-3 beses. Ang dami naka-cellphone. This is not a question to belabor you. It's a question of policy, of enforcement. Ako, nag-mayor ako, isang bayan, maraming mga boundary. Palagi ko, pagka talagang i-enforce yung batas na yan, na talagang firmly and fairly, kung walang nakikitang palakasan, baka maayos. At kung nakikita kong overloaded na yung preso, talagang maglalabi ako rito sa Senado na pwede ba talagang delikado ito, may mangyayari dyan, magkakagulo dyan, di ba?
Sir, talaga pong mahirap kasi po yung...
I don't believe mahirap. Don't take the job ko mahirap.
What I mean, sir, for example, sir, ang reformation officer to inmate ratio is 1:300.
No, but I asked you a question. Huwag mo ko ipasyal.
Yes, sir.
Alam mo na may mga telepono dyan. Alam mo?
No, sir.
You don't know?
No, sir. And if ever there are, sir, they are being investigated and penalized for that. Your
You don't know, sabi mo nga, number one contraband eh. Ba't mo sinasabi
Yes, sir.
number
Over
one
the years,
contraband? Come
sir.
on.
Over the years,
You
sir.
don't see it? You never see it?
I don't see, Your Honor. That is,
Are you blind?
no, I'm not
Do you
authorized.
have an eye defect?
I do not have an authority to enter the maximum security compound, Your Honor. And that is
Now take a look at the
policy.
picture. If you saw that picture, what is he violating? Kaya nga sinabi ko, kung pumasok si Mr. Echeverry, nakita niya, naka-uniforme, iba hindi naka-uniforme, what does it say? This is at the crux of reformation. This is at the crux of justice system. Kung papasok ka doon, bisaklat pa rin yung justice at talagang walang disiplina at ang isasagot sa akin, magkakagulo sa preso kung di nyo bibigyan ng mga kakosa, ng mga gang, lahat yan, eh talagang wala talaga yung pag-asa. Kaya natatakot ang tao, yung mga pinalabas, madali pa na lumabas, eh, mangungulimbat na naman yung mga yan. They would start doing, natatakot nyo ba? Pinalabas yung kidnapper, murderers, rapists.
Am I supposed to answer, sir?
Yes.
Sir, to the best of my
Do not be impertinent and arrogant.
No, sir, I'm not trying to be arrogant, sir. To the best of my knowledge, sir, our honorable director abolished the gang system very lately, sir. He's not into allowing the gang system to persist. So that's why he abolished the gang system very recently, Your Honor.
Could you repeat that again, please?
He recently abolished the gang system.
Paano nyo in-abolish yung gang system? Meron pa doon. Binala nyo lahat ng tattoo. Hindi na sila pwede sa mga lugar na yan. Eh, tingnan nyo, answer my question. Hindi ba, ano nakikita mo? Violation ba yan? Dark glasses. Yung uniform niya nakalagay, ano yan, maximum. Yan ba binibigyan nyo sa lahat ng maximum? May collar? May shoulder strap? May belt? May watch?
Sir, an inexpensive watch is allowed under the manual, but we cannot provide for their pants. So it is the family who provides for the.
And that's all right with you. That's all right. That's part of the rules. They, can,
Yes,
they provide their own pants.
The family
Eh,
provides.
kung yung pants na
for the
pinoprovide, meron mga secret package na shabu, kaya nahuli na shabu, okay lang.
No, Your Honor.
Napaka-loose naman ninyo dyan. Ayan o. May belt, magbibigti, police protection. Bawal na bawal yan, magbibigti. Di ba nagbigti na si Epstein? Sa Amerika, nagbigti. Ba? Eh, paano ba nagbigti ba yan? Ginamit yung, pati nga yung bedsheet, eh, dapat tinitin niya. Nakita ko yan, may bedsheet yung araw. Hindi na, alam nyo, you have to account. The picture itself speaks that talagang there's no law. There is only a law for you. And this strikes at the very heart of GCTA. Ang nauna, Chinese. Nauna yung Chinese, palalabasin. Meron bang representation dyan ng ambassador ng China? Bakit yung unahin yun? Bakit yung unahin si Sanchez? Kaya yun, I go back to my question kay DG Paildon. Di ba nagulat? Ito hindi pa sorry. Hindi niya tinatanggap. Tapos uunahin nyo. I'm just belaboring this point because again and again we will have this problem and I want to make sure that this is finally or at least an attempt is there to correct it. We will support. I can tell you, at least I can speak for myself, and I know Senator President Soto wants a separation of the life imprisonment.
DZXL Special Coverage. Eli Saludar, RMN, Centro Servicio.
Okay, yan po pa rin ang isinagawang pagdinig dyan po sa Senado ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. Abangan natin at kung magpatuloy pa rin ho yan. Pero paalam na ho kami. Tapos na ho itong RMN Centro Servicio sa umaga. Ako pa rin ho yung radyoman Eli Saludar sa pagkalam po natin partner na si Jenny Pahilanga. Samantalang oras na natin sa buong kapuluan. Alas 11:01 ng umaga.
Marami na ang natulungan ng Nature Soya Coffee.
Ako si Judy Antagtagon, isang estudyante. Grabe ang pananakit ng tiyan ko noon dahil sa ulcer. Nahihirapan na ako kumain. Uminom ako ng Nature Soya Coffee. Natulungan ako nito at problema ko sa ulcer.
Kayo rin, gumamit na ng Nature Soya Coffee. Mabibili sa masyong butika.
Mahalagang paalala, ang Nature Soya Coffee ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Alamin ang trend topics at pinag-uusapan sa www.rmn.ph lang. Iba't ibang kwento at imasyon sa www.rmn.ph yan. Kaya para always on the know, visit the RMN website every day.
Subalit malagim ang sasapitan ng mga duwa, ng mga taksil, ng mga nagpapasasaka, suklam-suklam na kahalay, ng mga mamamatay tao, ng mga nakikiapi, ng mga makulang, mga sumasamba sa Diyos-Diyos at lahat ng mga sinungaling. Ang magiging bahagi nila sa lawa ng nagliliyab na asupre. Ito ang pangalawang kamatayan. Pahayag, Kabanata 21, Talata 8. Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Mabilis lang ang panahon. Enroll kahapon? Graduation na ngayon. Kaya, para mas lalong ma-enjoy, kung internship o OJT ang misyon, laging present ang inyong OJT station. Mga sir, mga mama, mga classmates, ito ang DCXL RMN Manila 558, ang inyong official OJT station. Student-centered at broadcast program na hands-on. Matutong magsulat, mag-anchor, mag-research, mag-monitor. Samahan pa ng technical know-how, fieldwork, reporting at social media pasabog. Bakasyon man o OJT season, lahat welcome kahit ang school course. DCXL RMN Manila 558, ang inyong official OJT station.
Gising sa umaga, sermon ang almusal, bago pumasok sa eskwela.
Matuto at maging malinong mamimili sa lahat ng pagkakataon dahil bawat piso ay mahalaga. Alamin ang mga karapatan bilang consumer at iba pang tips mula sa DTI. Makinig sa talakayan ni National Nutrition Council Executive Director 3 Dr. Aped Anghirang at ang inyong lingkod Rod Marcelino ngayong Sabado, 7 ng Setyembre, alas 12:30 ng hapon dito lang sa Radyo mo sa Nutrisyon RMN DCXL 558 kHz. Sumali rin sa Text Question of the Week contest at mapabilang sa 12 mananalo ng tig 200 pisong load. Ang Radyo mo sa Nutrisyon ay mapapanood din sa pamamagitan ng Facebook Live, sa YouTube Live Radyo mo sa Nutrisyon Year 10 at sa Signal TV Channel 309. Maririnig na rin ngayon sa 8 pang stasyon mula sa DYKR 1161 Kalibo, DYHB 747 Bacolod, DYVR 657 Rojas, DYHP 612 Cebu, DXDR 981 Dipolog, DXMB 648 Malay Balay, DXDC 621 Davao at sa DXBC 693 Butuan. Maging nice na consumer. Dito lang yan sa Radyo mo sa Nutrisyon Year 10.
Radyo mo sa nutrisyon, kabalikan nyo sa kinabukasan.
DCXL Special Coverage.
At muli nating balikan ang ating special coverage dyan sa Senado. Ito nga ay tungkol sa pagtalakay ng mga batas na mag-aamyenda sa GCTA law. Pakinggan natin ito.
Yes, sir. Pag nakapasok ka, sana makalabas dito. Ang sistema natin, pakalakasan dito, di ba? Hanggang ngayon, kaya nung reforma, ang Pilipino, ang hirap tayo mga Pilipino, isang hahanap ng katapat. So, hahanapin nila ngayon. So, pagpasok dyan, boss, kawawa naman yung asawa ko. May diabetes yan. Kailangan mayroong special medication. Sino makakausapin ko para may papasok yung gamot? Pag humingi ng tulong, abay, kailangan may mapapalinaw, di ba? May kasyuduan. Tama ba yung boss? Sir?
Of course not.
Of course. Of course not?
It's not correct.
It's not correct. But it does happen in reality.
in all probability.
Yes, I agree with you. So anything that would make life easier for a convict, lalo na kung may sakit, o lalo na hindi sanay sa ganyan appointments, and we have seen that many times, talagang it is cash-driven, influence-driven system. And therefore, when I go back to this whole thing, I step back. I always step back, I don't just focus on what's happening. I step back. That is a system that you get into. Hinabol niya yung criminal, yung application for Bureau of Pardons and Parole for executive clemency. Hindi umubra doon, harap na paraan dito ngayon. That's why it's so important, sir, that we find out kung sino nakabalik, because kung influensyado yung tao niya, malamang nagbigay. I don't know kung kay DG Pile doon, I don't know kung kanino doon. But I am very sure, in all probability, to borrow your words, na merong ticket line niya. And I've discussed it with Senate President Soto. Also, may lagayan dyan, sigurado. In fact, there is even a computation by the good Senate President. Sabi niya, kung ang papalayain mo ay 11,000, yun ang nakatakda. And I will use the words of one of the children there. Batch na namin Meron ng entitlement May number na. Kaya nga, nalulugod ako, hindi makakarating. Pero, ayun na 187 ang number niya. It's our time. Kami na nalabas. Alam na nila. Kaya, ang lakas ng loob. Director Pagpapatuloy, nag-usap na tayo. Denied. Lalabas na kami, andyan na kami, nakabihis na kami. Nakaplano na kami, may schedule na kami. Denied. So that means there was really an ugnayan in everything here, not just with the person. So, magpapalakas ang loob yan, alam niya, sasabog yan, hindi ba dito na ako, kumita na lang ako, kung kumita ako, kung sino man yan, para mailabas na, para palabas na, it will blow over. Mawawala rin yan. That's why we're very, very hot in pursuit of the system. I'm no longer going to personalities, I like go to the system. And that's why I really in favor na biyak-biyakin nga yan para mas madaling makita at yung computerization magawa. And we know you all agree on that. It's been 5 years, Mr. Secretary. How long have you been Secretary, sir?
1.5 years.
1.5 years. But this law was made 5 years ago, and you'd imagine that you had enough time. Right?
I hope so.
Yes. I can tell you, we are computerized in my organization, which is a humanitarian organization. We know our volunteers, we know. And I just want to be sure that I know where my people are because they could be hurt in damage. We have people in Marawi, handling water, handling toilets, handling medicine. We have to know. Ito naman, government dito madali naman gawin niya. Kung wala yan, talaga may palakasan. So, I will leave that point. And, commercial muna, Senator Lacson.
Pwede na yung commercial. Mr. Secretary, ano raw yung procedure? Pag-surrender?
The President last night instructed turn themselves in. So within the period of 15 days granted by
they can just
President.
Report to the nearest military detachment, police precinct, police station.
That is right. And that police station or military unit, whatever it may be, will just have to coordinate directly with the Bureau of Corrections.
Thank you for the clarification. Meron pa? Kay Superintendent Marquez, after you signed the memorandum to release PGL's, the three, Balansag, Canyo, and Asnar, were they subsequently issued corrections order similar to what Chief Superintendent Faustino issued? Kasi sa Davao Penal Colony, and I think he's here, di ba? Can you come forward, please? Because I'll ask you a similar question. Were they subsequently issued corrections order?
Sir, may I answer first the may I reiterate first my first answer that my office is not a normal route for releases.
No, I'm
and that's
only
why
asking.
I am not totally aware, sir. The person, I think it was Corrections Officer Abad, who was hand carrying the documents, left, took all the documents and left. And after that, I am not totally aware, sir, what happened.
Who is Corrections Officer about?
He's an officer, I think, of the DS or office of the director. I'm not so sure, but
So he's
any
in
of the,
charge.
he's a colleague from the Bureau of Corrections, Your Honor.
Hindi siya pareho ng posisyon ni Chief Superintendent.
No, Your Honor.
So why siya yung nag-hand carry nung
Yes, Your Honor.
to be signed
Yes,
memorandum?
because it was late afternoon, Your Honor.
Yeah. So ang tanong ko is, were they subsequently issued corrections order similar to what Chief Superintendent Tostino issued?
Your Honor, I have no direct knowledge on that.
Taga Muntinlupa, anong tatanungin namin? Kayo yung,
Sir,
kayo pa man yung, excuse me, kayo pa man yung na-designate as one of those authorized to sign for the Director General, and yet you don't even know the procedure.
Sir, once the documents are signed, it will revert to the office of the director and then back to the documents.
No,
division.
I'm asking procedure here. Hindi mo kabisado na after you sign the memorandum for the Director General, the corresponding superintendent noong National Bilibid
Yes,
Prison
sir.
or yung facility should issue a corrections order.
Yes, sir. And
Yun ang tinatanong
yes,
ko.
Sir. Correct, sir.
So ang tanong ko,
Discharge
where they issued Asnar, Canyo, and Bansag, where they issued correspondingly corrections order.
I'm not totally aware, sir, because that was roughly 6:30 in the evening. So I had to.
Gabi pa, ba't inaapuro kayo ng gabi? Ano ba yan?
The documents were taken to me roughly around 5.
After office hours?
Around 5, sir, and I had to review.
Strong special. Anyway, Chief Superintendent Pastino, this is a corrections order that you signed.
Yes, sir. Pertaining to...
Do you bring with you the memorandum to release PDL Chenchang Itis?
I have a copy.
Have a copy? Can you submit to the committee? Again, please. So that's the procedure. A memorandum to release PDL is signed by the Director General or his authorized designated representative, and then a corrections order will be issued by the superintendent. Ayun ang tinatanong ko kanina. Now, you just revealed na after 5 o'clock, nila sa bahay or sa office?
I think it's roughly 4:30, and they asked me to stay behind.
Alam nyo, the more you talk, the more we suspect.
Sir, I can vouch.
What's so special about the 44 PDLs that you stay behind and sign the documents on that particular day? That's my question.
Sir,
Could it not wait the following day or 2 days after? Ang sagot mo, baka ma-arbitrary detention,
Yes, Your
which
Honor.
I already countered na walang arbitrary detention. Because yung arbitrary detention is applicable to citizens arrest, warrantless arrest. Yung arrest without warrant. Sasabihin mo, kakatwiran mo, idea ba yan o legal opinion ba yan ni Atty. Santos? Where's Atty. Santos? Ba't wala? Yung ba yung legal opinion ng legal officer ng Bucor na kailangan pirmahan pag sinabing August 16, kailangan pirmahan ng August 16 kasi ma-arbitrary detention?
I understand, sir, that the release documents should be acted promptly and that we may be charged for such violations.
Who said that?
There was a communication that the documents
Can you
should
furnish the
process.
committee that communication? That's an official communication coming from whom?
I'll see, Your Honor.
Yeah, if it came from a illegal officer, he should be disbarred. Hindi niya alam yung batas.
Lawyer ba nabigay sa'yo? Lawyer?
I got the copy from the Assistant Chief document, sir.
Laki na yan, di ba? Si Troya? Assistant Chief Documents Officer yan.
No, sir. It's Mr. Roque, sir.
Mr. Roque.
You know, Ms. Marquez, we're not here to beat a dead horse. Ano? Si Nick, in fairness to him, he already left the facilities, di ba, last night or early this morning. And we hate doing this, but you know, these are procedures that have to be clarified with.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, sino yung nagsabi na kailangan ma-release on o mapanong August 16 dahil ma-arbitrary detention? Can you furnish the committee that document, that communication?
Sige, look for it and we will get back because I'd like to proceed to our secretary because he might leave us. It's the 11th hour and also Secretary Mendoza. With your permission.
Oh, the legal officer is here. I want to hear his legal opinion. Did you render that legal opinion sa Bureau na pagka hindi na pirmahan on a particular date, the person or persons concerned may be charged with arbitrary detention?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kindly explain. Kindly expound. Kindly educate us.
Article 114. Sorry.
124.
124.
Oh,
Any
124.
public officer or employee who, without legal grounds, sir, and most of the court decision ordered us to release the prisoner unless there are other legal grounds to hold them. And if the court orders that they should be released and if they have no pending case, and or if they have pending case, we turn over them to the court, to the respective court, and if not, we release them. We made a memorandum of release.
In case of Astar, Canyo, and Balansag, meron bang court order to release them?
No, sir. There was this
Sinight mo kasi pagka may court order to release, kailangan release ka agad eh. Meron bang court order to release them?
No, sir. There was a demand from their lawyer.
Oh. Is that legally binding if there's a demand from the lawyer? I'm the lawyer pero mukhang mali yun ah.
No, sir. What happened was there was this letter from their lawyer that was brought to the office of the director, and there was this action slip referring that to me to make appropriate action or compliance. And I've sent that letter to the document section to facilitate if they are qualified, because I don't know if they are qualified. So the document section check on that, and that's where my part ends.
And it could not wait. Hindi makahintay ito ng kinabukasan kasi baka ma-arbitrary detention based on Article 124 of the Revised Penal Code. Yun ba yun?
No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, yun ang sinabi mo kanina.
I only facilitated the
No, but ang premise natin, kailangan i-release ka agad, kailangan pirmahan ka agad yung Article 124. Ang sinabi mo pa, kung merong court order, kailangan i-release ka agad. Ang tanong ko, meron bang release order ng court? Ang sabi mo, teka muna, sabi mo wala. So anong basis ba't kailangan daliin?
Sir, the basis is the decision, the recent decision of the Supreme Court requiring us to recompute, not to release, sir. To recompute.
O iba na naman siya sabi mo, recompute.
Yes, sir.
But not to release. Yung release can wait.
Yes, sir.
You know, another 24 hours, even 1 week, and you will not be charged.
Yes, sir.
Tama.
Sir, may I continue, sir?
Hindi, pero ma-charge ka ba kung na-delay ng days?
No,
dahil wala yung Director General? Kasi yun ang reason eh. Kailangan pirmahan ka agad ni Chief Superintendent Marquez kasi yung Director General nasa sabayan. At kung hindi mapirma kagad, ang sabi niya, baka ma-charge ng arbitrary detention. So I referred to you, being the legal officer, ikaw ba yung nagbigay ng legal opinion na pwedeng ma-charge ng arbitrary detention? Ang sabi mo, yes. At sinight mo, Article 124, ang sinabi mo, pag may court order, kailangan release. Ang tanong ko, meron bang court order? Wala. So ang tanong ko ulit, pabalik, bakit kailangan madaliin at kailangan August 16, may commitment ba to release to to sign the memorandum on August 16? Commitment ba yun?
No, sir, I'm not particular.
No. Inililigaw, nagpaikot-ikot tayo eh. Simple lang yung flow ng communication natin or discussion natin this morning. Di ba? Bakit kailangan pirmahan ng August 16?
I did not told them to sign it on the same date. I only referring to this, and thereafter to cause their immediate release from prison in case of full service of sentence, unless they are being confined thereat for any other lawful cause.
Pero yung Chief Superintendent Marquez nag-relay nga sa legal opinion mo na baka ma-charge daw siya ng arbitrary.
No, sir, I did not give my legal opinion. I gave my legal opinion to all of those are similarly situated like that. Previously kasi, sir.
So, simplifihin na lang natin kasi paikot-ikot. So, walang masama kung hinihintay si Director General File doon na bumalik at mapirmahan yung memorandum order. So,
yes, sir.
Si Chief Superintendent Marquez need not sign on that particular day. Kasi tapos na yung office hours eh.
Yes, sir.
Sabi niya, 5 o'clock. So, in-adjust pa ng 4:30. Pero bago mo mapirmahan lahat yung 44, inabot ka na rin ng 6:30. Hindi ba? Oh. Ano yung urgency? That's my question. You to disabuse our minds. Ano yung urgency? And justify.
Sir, I understand it is under the prison manual to act.
Mario, balik na naman tayo sa prison manual. Never mind. No?
Yes, sir.
We can draw conclusions from there. Thank you.
Sir, may I say something, sir? Sir,
Go ahead.
I would like to correct the minds of everyone, sir, that we at the Bureau of Corrections are performing our duties well. And it is, I think if the committee finds the one or two or whoever guilty, and then that will be the time that we think of other persons, sir, because generally speaking, sir, I've been in the Bureau for more than 34 years, and I've worked with a lot of hardworking people, sir. And
We never accuse.
Yes, sir.
The system is one that is being investigated,
Yes,
not
sir.
personalities.
Thank you, sir.
And if you've worked for the last 34 years, you would know, and you had not answered the question, na yung litrato ni Sanchez dito na naka-uniforme siya ng iba, dapat masasagot mo sa akin. Hindi mo nangagot eh. And I'll tell you something else. Maybe there are many good people working
Yes,
there.
sir.
But I'll tell you something. Isang pinalabas yung Chinese. Hindi na panahon ni Director General Pardo para hindi nyo sasabihin na pinag-iinitan namin siya. Nahulihan siya ng cellphone and device. And he is one of those who were asked to be out, to go out. He took advantage of this GCTA. Meron nahuli ang Chinese drugs rin. May 9. I'll give you the name. Ito si Paul Chen, Chris Chang. I cannot believe you do not know that this is happening. Kaya sinabi ko, are you blind? Not out of pique. But because any kid who goes in there will know, hindi balansyado. We are trying to fix this system. So don't try to be a hero at the expense of the judicial system. You can defend all the people there as much as you want. Pero all the records show na hindi happy ang tao sa patakbo sa Bureau of Prisons. Especially if you, a high-ranking officer, cannot even tell me na hindi ba alam na nangyayari ng mga cellphone, yung mga knives, yung mga everything. So do not lecture us on that.
No, sir, I'm just trying.
No, that's enough.
I'm sorry, sir.
You wait, because we're going to get someone here. Now, I know I want to make sure that Secretary Ibarra and Secretary Mendoza have to stay here. I just have one final question para matapos to. I just have to get it off my chest. Are you aware of any arrangements with other agencies of the government where you can put prisoners in them, other than that what is prescribed by law? Secretary Ibarra muna. Are you aware of any arrangement where prisoners, like Chinese drug pushers, are you aware that they are being placed in other prisons or other systems that are not authorized by law?
Not authorized by law, definitely no.
Sir, which is the principal office that is authorized to keep prisoners that have convicted? Is it not the Bureau of Prison Bilibid and the other six like Iwai, like Sablayan, like Leyte and everything? Is that correct, sir?
That is correct, Mr.
No,
Chair.
sir.
All the regional prisons as well as the National Bilibid Prison under the direct control of the Bureau of Corrections.
That's correct, sir. Now, this morning, sir, I got a text from media, and they told me that several people are Chinese personalities, high personalities are in the Philippine Marine Compound in Fort Bonifacio by virtue of a MOA confirmed by Bucor. Did that pass through your officer?
I remember that there was an agreement for certain PDLs for security reasons to be moved to the prisons, not the prisons, but the Marines facilities for some very special security reasons.
Well, that's why I asked you preliminarily. I laid the predicate if you're aware, and that we all know as lawyers that Bureau of Prisons lang talaga pwedeng humawak niyan, and that the Secretary of Justice must be made aware of the fact if there are prisoners being transferred to a compound, like in case of that American guy who was convicted of killing Soji, transgender, alam natin yun, di ba? By international agreement, right? But ito, Peter Ko, Vicente C., Hans Tan, Jose Chua, Froilan Trestice, Jojo Baligod, Alan Sinugat, Nonito Arile, Joel Capones, Rico Caja. They're confined at the Philippine Marines Compound in Fort Bonifacio by virtue of a MOA confirmed by court. Are you aware of that, sir?
I'm aware, but I have not seen that memorandum of agreement, Mr. Chair.
And if you saw that, would you allow it? I'm sure you'd allow it for good reason.
For good reasons, definitely. My understanding is that there
And
was...
with permission of the court.
I'm sorry, sir. It really depends on the specific reasons or justification for the arrangement to be made. As far as I remember, that particular arrangement was done for security reasons because I think these people are witnesses to a certain case.
I agree with you, sir. But again, part of this witness protection program, but as far as I know, you cannot do it without permission of the court. Would that be correct, sir?
Without permission of the court, meaning the transfer of this...
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think that is a requirement to obtain the
Would you favor us, sir, by checking on this? I'll give you the names para masiguro natin. Again, this is not to blame anybody. This is to fix the problem. Because nobody should be allowed to casually go into a memorandum of agreement and transfer prisoners, especially who may be high value or high prisoners that have they're involved in dangerous drugs or whatever, to be transferred. Thank you, sir. Now we would like to ask, this is the technical aspect, and before I do that, I'd like to let you know that the Honorable Bong Revilla Jr. is here, also present in this investigation. Sir, as you are aware, there are certain constitutional issues that may be involved when we change the law, when we amend the law. Would that be correct? I know that's general, but we can be specific.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. In fact, particularly in the matter of possibility of ex post facto legislation.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So if we amend the law right now, because there is an obvious lack of clarity or lack of decisiveness or resoluteness is perhaps a better word on whether you include or exclude certain prisoners from the privileges of GCTA, and their heinous, to be very precise, if their heinous criminalization should not be given the privilege. So we agree, and we have talked about this previously, that must be procedural in nature ang ating palitan. Would that be still your position, sir?
If the procedural amendments will lead to a clarification of the intent of the law, then that is perfectly all right.
And do you think that it will be within the premises of the Senate or within the prerogatives of the Senate to allow the situation that we can say that the original purpose of the Senate? Sounds like to me that's almost like going back and saying we're changing the rules in the middle of the game. I've been very careful about that because I don't want these guys to have a leg up on us.
No, that will not really be changing any rules because it's really just putting clarity to how these matters should be handled. But there are really no substantial changes in the rights of the persons to be affected.
But we're aware of that. That's why I'm asking the question for the record so that the public and in the future the courts can go back to this discussion and say that we're doing things in a very careful manner not to violate the rights, even officers, even prisoners of rights. Is that correct, sir?
It's very correct.
Yes, sir. Very elementary. Now, having said that, we are going to have a technical working group, and it's my hope that the Department of Justice can see our way clear. We have some bills that have been, including mine, including Senator Soto, I think, and others. Maybe we can see our way clear in working Monday, Tuesday, so that we can have a meeting with the committee and report it out to the floor so that no further transgression should be committed. Would you be amenable to that, sir?
Definitely, Mr. Chair. We have seen yesterday copies of the draft bills, and we had a short opportunity to review some of them. And the Department of Justice, Mr. Chair, and honorable members of the Senate of this committee are very gratified that many, if not all, of the suggestions that we made with respect to Republic Act number 10952 have been adequately reflected in proposed bills. Yes, and we are very happy for that.
And even the fact that you issued the order that 953 that has been incorporated as
yes,
well.
we're happy to see that the particular provision that requires prior approval of the Secretary of Justice when in cases of releases of PDLs convicted of heinous crimes.
Para maintindihan po tayo, sapagkat ngayon, hindi na natin nakikinig na lahat at nanonood ng mga tao. Ito lang para mapatunayan na talagang there is a strong effort to make sure that everything is within the law. And that gagawin natin yan, di po ba?
Tama po yun, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to pursue that same point. We examined the paper trail, yung sa Davao, no? Okay. 25 July 2017, then Officer in Charge Ragas communicated with then Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre. This is Annex J. And everything seems to be in order. Yung case ni Chen Chang Itiz. No? And then, subsequently, it was returned to 2 years later. The endorsement was returned to now DG or Undersecretary Paildon, dated April 3, 2019. This time, the endorsement came from Secretary Guevara. Kasi kinlear ito sa Secretary of Justice, then Secretary Aguirre. Inabot ng 2 years, ito yung Annex C. And then from there, nag-issue na ng memorandum si Yusek Paildon 8 April 2019 to Superintendent Davao Prison Penal Farm. And that became the basis for Chief Superintendent Faustino to issue the corresponding corrections order. Correct, no?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So, alam nyo naman pala yung procedure. Kasi laging reference number 1 is Department Order 950. But eventually, you disregarded it. Kasi alam nyo rin, this occurred during the time of Director General Paildon na pinapadala niya pa, or at least endorsement coming from Secretary Guevara back to the new superintendent or the new undersecretary or Bucor chief filed doon. Nanggaling kasi yun sa communication coming from Ragas to Secretary Aguirre. So nasunod yung procedure, and alam nyo pala yung procedure na yung clause na upon prior approval of the Secretary of Justice. So the case of Chen Chang Tis seems to follow the procedure, di ba?
Correct, Your Honor.
Because this was approved by Secretary Aguirre, eventually transmitted back to Bucor by Secretary Guevara. So ang question is, alam nyo naman pala sinusunod nyo dati. Bakit all of a sudden, dinisregard nyo na yung approval ng Secretary of Justice in subsequent releases, just like the June 4 release of the 4 Chinese drug lords, no? And then the August 16 release of Asnar, Balansag, and Canyo, and then the aborted release of Antonio Sanchez. Bakit biglang disregard nyo yung procedure na in the first place you were practicing before? Legal.
Legal being Attorney Santos of the Bureau of Corrections.
Yes, Your Honor. Nung umpisa, sir, yung 953 na yan, sinusunod talaga yan.
Ayun nga eh.
Ang nangyari po kasi, with the passing of the RA 10575, ang aming alam doon na na-supersede niya yung Department Order 953. Kasi po, ang nakalagay sa Section 8 na sinabi natin doon, control and supervision nasa Bureau of Corrections na. Yung natira lang po sa DOJ, administrative supervision. Ang problema po kasi, ang dami na lalaya na hindi namin mapalaya dahil sa 953. At sobrang tumatagal po siya, nag-invoke na sila ng arbitrary detention dahil maximum served na po siya, 40 years. So that's why we decided, sir, to pursue the release.
John, meron ba kayo maipapakitang dokumento ng rescission order ng 953 coming from the Secretary of Justice?
Wala po, sir.
Wala pala eh. Di binding yun. Di ba? If it has not been rescinded, then it stands.
But, sir,
unless you can show us a subsequent department order amending Department Order 953, then we'll believe you.
Sir, but that what transpired, sir. That's the real
Secretary
situation,
Guba, can we hear your comment? Medyo magulo to.
Since we could not find any subsequent department order expressly revoking or canceling Department Order 953 issued in 2015, then it is our submission that that department order stands and should be followed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. With the permission of everyone, I'd like to greet and welcome Senator Ronald The Rock De La Rosa. That is spelled D-A-R-A-K. And of course, Senator Francis Tolentino. I already recognize Senator Go. I'd like to beg the indulgence of my fellow senators here. I'd like to call Secretary Mendoza now to make some statements so that we will be enlightened. This is also in the in aid of legislation part, so that he may enlighten us on his views on the matter. Sir? I'd like to advise everybody that the Solicitor General Mendoza has a hearing deficiency or hearing challenge, but so let's be very patient with him. She has a translator with her or somebody who is interpreting for her. For him, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to everybody.
Good morning, sir.
From what I understand, in the hearings, these hearings are about the time allowance being granted, which has been enhanced. So I will address that issue. I would like to qualify that whatever statements I make are not based on personal knowledge, but are based on decisions rendered relevant to this case, and I have drawn those decisions as reported in the SCRA. Now, the basic provision of the revised penal code is Article 97, allowance for good conduct. The good conduct of any prisoner in any penal institution shall entitle him to the following deductions from the period of his sentence. What I would like to emphasize is that is the word sentence, from the period of his sentence. As a matter of fact, under Article 94, among the grounds for the extinction of criminal liability is good conduct allowance, which the culprit may earn while he is serving again his sentence. So the critical point in this on this matter is what is the sentence of the prisoner. I think there has been a lot of confusion on this. If you will take the open mention Sanchez case or the Peñalosa case or the Cebu case, then you have decisions of the Supreme Court. The decisions are clear as to what penalties have been imposed. 7 reclusion perpetuas in the case of Sanchez, plus 2 in the Peñalosa case. And in the Cebu case, similarly, reclusion perpetua. But from what I hear in the discussions, too often this seems to have been disregarded. And there is mention even of the maximum being 40 years. I think that is basically erroneous. The penalty or the sentence that these prisoners must serve are those which are in the decisions of the Supreme Court. That means in the Sanchez case, 7 reclusion perpetuas, in addition 2 in the Peñalosa case, and similarly in the Cebu case. Those have not been changed. There is reference to Article 70 because of the provision that, and I read the so-called threefold rule, notwithstanding the provisions of the rule next preceding the maximum duration of the convict's sentence. I want to emphasize the word sentence should not be more than threefold the length of time corresponding to the most severe of the penalties. Such maximum period shall in no case exceed 40 years. What I want to emphasize is that this provision applies to the sentence, to no other. So if one is to apply, look at this, one must look at the sentence. In the Sanchez case, you must look at the sentence which imposed the penalty of 7 reclusion perpetua in addition 2 reclusion perpetua in the Peñalosa case. So if you have any good time allowance, you must deduct that from these penalties. These penalties have not been changed at all. Once a decision is rendered, it is immutable, final, and executory. The threefold rule, the so-called threefold rule, the 40-year rule, in order that it will apply, it must have been invoked by the accused, and the accused should have asked the court in rendering the judgment to amend the decision to reflect this fact. But there was no such effort even, so the decision of the Supreme Court remains the same. So that in the Sanchez case, if you are going to talk of good time allowance, then you must reckon the good time allowance from the 7 or rather 9 reclusion perpetuas, not from 40 years, but from what I hear, Sanchez was claiming a release because of good conduct allowance and then a maximum of 40 years. I think, as I said, what has been overlooked is that the sentence as rendered and confirmed by the Supreme Court has not been changed. So that is the sentence that must be served. If any good time allowance is to be applied, that good time allowance must be deducted from that sentence, and there is no maximum of 40 years. The question may ask, how about this? Well, that is the problem of the lawyers. They should have asked the court to amend the decision, but I think they were in a bind because Sanchez continued to deny that he was guilty, so that invoking this would have been inconsistent with his contention that he was not guilty. So, being guilty, he could not invoke the threefold rule, because if you invoke the threefold rule, then you assume that you are guilty of the offenses that we just determined which is the most serious of them. So that I think many of the discussions that have been made are actually irrelevant because they are based on an erroneous judgment or sentence. What I want to emphasize is that in all of these provisions, they refer, and I emphasize and I quote, to the sentence, to no other. So you must always look at the sentence before you consider any good time allowance. Because, for example, in the Sanchez case, I hear he was claiming because he had good time allowance and then you add it, so it amounts to 40 years. But that does not apply because he did not raise that point. He did not ask that the threefold rule, if you apply the threefold rule to his judgment, it would have been 3 times reclusion perpetua or 3 times 30 or 90 years. Then you can ask for 40 years. But the judgment of the Supreme Court, it is well established. Once rendered, it is not in any way subject to change. It is immutable. It must be implemented and executed as rendered by the court. Incidentally, I might add, if the Congress should enact a law which grants excessive time allowance, which undercuts the judgments of court, that might be subject to a constitutional question because of our basic principle of separation of powers. The legislature cannot undercut the jurisdiction of the judiciary in rendering a judgment. It cannot render inutile a judgment of a court. Read, for example, the decisions in the court, particularly in the Cebu case. The proceedings really were terminated because of the will.
DZXL Special Coverage. Mga kasama niyo pong napakinggan ang hearing ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. Ito ay kaugnay pa rin sa usapin ng GCTA at hindi nga po sumipot sa Senado ang sinibak na si Bureau of Corrections Chief Nicanor Faildon. At ayon kay Senator Richard Gordon na siya rin pong namumuno sa Blue Ribbon Committee, nagbigay po sa kanya ng abiso ang abogado ni Faildon na hindi po ito makakadalo sa pagdinig sa kabila ng inilabas na sapina ng Senado. Sa mga kasama, ang tabayanan pa po ang iba pang mga detalye
sa nagaganap na hearing ngayon o investigasyon ng Senado kaugnay pa rin sa dito sa batas na kung saan mga kasama ay nagbibigay po ng oportunidad sa lahat ng preso na hindi natapusin ang kanilang sentensya o bawasan ang kanilang sentensya kung sila po ay nagpakita ng kabutihan sa loob ng kulungan. Pero ang nangyari mga kasama, marami po mga preso na sinasabi ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, lahat ito'y hulihin uli. Yung mahigit 1,000 na pinalaya mga kasama na medyo questionable, no? Yung proseso kung paano kinpute, ano po yung mga sinunod rito na basehan kung bakit napaaga yung kanilang pagpapalaya na kung saan karamihan po ng mga ito, yung kanilang mga kaso ay heinous crime, trafficking, rape, droga. Paano napasama doon mga kasama sa tinatawag na good conduct time allowance. Opo, ito yung batas na pinirmahan po ni dating Pangulong Noynoy Aquino. So anyway, mga kasama, alas 11:52 na po na magandang umaga. Ang tabayaran mamayang RMN News Nationwide. Kasama pong inyong lingkod at si Radyo Bad Buddy Oberas.
DZXL